Yeah. Welcome back to another Pristine Productions here. And want to shout out to all the fans. And remember to hit me up on YouTube, Pristine Productions. Also, you can email me if you want me to mix a professional mix for you. I want to shout out to all the fans. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for those who are really reaching out. Continue to support me, subscribe. And today we got a special session here talking about mixing Afro beats here. I'm going to show you how to get that real nice, authentic Afro kind of dancehall sound. Cutting in a nice vocal and all of that stuff. And a couple of the EQs that I use, get that low end going. Get everything pumping. And I'm going to show you some tips as well. And I got a little bit of vocal here. And I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to show you some of the CLA effects here. Some of the pre-mastering here. So let's get down to it. So let's jump right into it. So first thing is first here. So mixing Afro beats here. I'm going to take, first of all, I'm going to take off my inserts here. I'm going to take off the sensor. I'm going to introduce the sound. This is what I started off with. You have a nice pluck instrument going here. Sounds pretty nice, but you need to get a little bit more width, need a little more power. So with that, I'm bring up the SSL here. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to high pass here. I'm going to add a little bit of 8K, and I'm going to engage SSL. Let's do that. So I'm getting a little bit of pluck sound, a little bit tighter sound, off, on. Kind of brings it a little bit more forward. Then I'm going to use a stock EQ here, and I'm going to be pushing about 110 kilohertz here, about 12 dB, because I want a bigger sound on this pluck here. Let's turn it on. So you listen carefully. You can hear a little bit of body at the bottom here. Let's back off a little bit. Remember, as you go along, you want to make sure you're finding the taste and the frequency here. So like, for example, I didn't like that frequency. So now, although the sound has a reverb on, I'm going to send it through the waves, our verb here. We got a little bit more space. So you kind of set the foundation. You got a little bit more vibe. So we went from here, kind of weak, hardly any vibe, hardly any atmosphere on it. And went ahead and added SSL and a Pro Q here and a little bit of reverb. And of course, we're doing a little bit of doubler effect here to get a little bit more width. So we're preparing these sounds to compete with one another here. So I'm going to bring in a second sound here, and it's like a power synth. So I'm going to do real quickly here. Add a little bit of bottom end, about 170. Because I want it to be kind of up and close and personal there. Maybe I can pan one slightly to the left. Another one slightly to the right. Create a little bit of space. Do this at your own taste. Let's get down to the 808 here. So I'm gonna play the 808. Now for the 808 here, I'm getting like a punch kick and an 808 bass at the same time. So I'm going to be cutting a little bit of 50 here and boosting a little bit of, let's see here, I'm going to boost a little bit of 310. Get a little bit more mid-range. I'm going to engage the EQ. Notice that sound at the 310 area. I'm getting a little bit more gritty. Might sound a little bit weird by itself, but with the tracks, while I'm cutting a little bit of 50 here. Now I wanted a little bit more thickness here in the track, so I added a kick sample here. And what I did with the kick sample, I'm boosting about 7 dB at 40 kilohertz here, almost 8 dB. I'm rolling off a little bit of 50 here because I'm also want to make sure that kick doesn't get in front of the 808. And I'm boosting a little bit of 1K and 2K, about 12 dB, some major boosts here. I'm going to play the kick here. So this is the 40 kilohertz off, on, EQ off. So I need that snap to compete with 808 here. Bring in 808. Look what happens when I take off the 40 kilohertz. Not hearing that big punch and that big low end. I want a little bit more low end here. So that's what I'm doing for that. It's going with the beat here. And I bring in the hi-hats, nothing special there. Just a little bit of volume ride. On the snare drum here, I'm gonna bypass the SSL here. Let's bring in the snare drum. For this track here, I need a little bit more sheen, a little more clarity, a little bit more bottom end. So I'm boosting a little 222 at about 4 dB, and I'm adding about 1 dB at 8K here. A little bit of high pass at 50. Why 50? Because I want to keep clear of the 808, make sure it's dominating that area. So I'm gonna engage the SSL, and I'm getting a more bottom, a more snap with the SSL here. Let me dial down the ratio a little bit. Getting a little bit of red light here, but I'm getting good grit. And I'm gonna bring up the Pro Q. All I'm doing with the Pro Q here is a little bit of attenuation here. That's right there, I'm taking out just about 1 dB or 2. I'm turning off the reverb, I don't need that. Now I'm gonna bring in the supporting instrument here. Let me isolate that real quick here. I'm gonna show you what I did here. I'm using a little bit of analog power here. So what I'm doing with this sound here, I'm doing a little bit of roll off. First with it off, I had more clarity, but I didn't want more clarity on this. It was a little too bright for me, you know, so I need a little bit duller sound. Sometimes dull is good. So I'm using the NLS here to get a little bit more volume, a little bit more harmonics here to step up. My fader is at 0. I don't want to go past 0. I'm going to roll off. So it sounds like a vintage keyboard thing here, and I'm using a reverb. Get a little bit more space. Combine that with the drums. And last keyboard here, which I'm just doing a little bit of roll off, about 100. That's all I'm doing with the SSL EQ here. I'm going to bring that in. And then we have the vocals. Check what happens when I turn off all the inserts for the snare drum. It's not a punchy and cutting through as how I want it. A little bit low. Let's turn it on. That's how it is. that's the reason why I mix with analog and SSL, man. These things are kicking dirt. So I want to thank you guys for supporting me. Remember to hit me up, and we're going to catch you guys on the next one.